Have you ever walked into a room and felt the energy shift? Not because you said something wrong, but simply because you arrived. Have people ever called you intimidating when you were just being yourself? Or maybe you've noticed that some individuals seem uncomfortable around you, even though you've done nothing to upset them? Here's the truth that most people won't tell you. Your strength might be scaring people, and you don't even realize it. Carl Jung, one of the most brilliant minds in psychology, understood something profound about human nature. He recognized that true strength, the kind that comes from deep self-awareness, authenticity, and psychological integration, often threatens those who haven't done their own inner work. Today, we're diving deep into 9 signs that your inner strength is intimidating others. But here's what makes this fascinating. These aren't weaknesses disguised as strengths. These are genuine qualities that Jung would have recognized as markers of an individuated, psychologically mature person. By the end of this video, you'll understand why people react to you the way they do, and more importantly, you'll learn why you should never dim your light to make others comfortable. But before we begin, if you're ready to explore the depths of Jungian psychology and unlock your own psychological power, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. We're building a community of individuals committed to genuine self-discovery, and I want you to be part of it. Now, let's dive into the first sign. Sign 1. You're comfortable with silence. Your visions will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakes. Most people are terrified of silence. They fill every gap in conversation with nervous chatter, meaningless small talk, or the endless scroll of their phones. But you're different. You can sit in silence without feeling the need to fill the void. This comfort with silence reveals something powerful. You've befriended your own mind. Think about it. When someone is constantly avoiding silence, what are they really avoiding? Jung would say they're running from their shadow those uncomfortable thoughts, feelings, and aspects of themselves they haven't integrated. But you've done the work. You've sat with your demons. You've faced the uncomfortable truths about yourself, and you've emerged stronger. Silence doesn't scare you because you're not afraid of what you might discover there. Sign 1. You're comfortable with silence. Your visions will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakes. Most people are terrified of silence. They fill every gap in conversation with nervous chatter, meaningless small talk, or the endless scroll of their phones. But you're different. You can sit in silence without feeling the need to fill the void. This comfort with silence reveals something powerful. You've befriended your own mind. Think about it. When someone is constantly avoiding silence, what are they really avoiding? Jung would say they're running from their shadow those uncomfortable thoughts, feelings, and aspects of themselves they haven't integrated. But you've done the work. You've sat with your demons. You've faced the uncomfortable truths about yourself, and you've emerged stronger. Silence doesn't scare you because you're not afraid of what you might discover there. Why this scares people? When you're comfortable in silence, you create a space where others must face themselves. And for people who've spent their entire lives running from introspection, this is absolutely terrifying. Your silence becomes a mirror, reflecting back their own inner chaos and unprocessed emotions. They interpret your quiet confidence as judgment. They fill your silence with their own insecurities, projecting their fears onto you. They might call you standoffish or cold, but what they really mean is, your peace makes me aware of my inner turbulence. Real-world example. Imagine you're at a social gathering. Everyone's engaged in superficial banter about the weather, weekend plans, or celebrity gossip. You're listening, observing, comfortable in your own presence. You only speak when you have something meaningful to contribute. Others notice. They feel your silence like a weight. Someone might nervously ask, "You're so quiet." Is everything okay? Or, what are you thinking about? They're uncomfortable because your presence demands a deeper level of authenticity than they're prepared to offer. The Jungian perspective, Jung believed that individuation becoming your true self required spending time in solitude and silence. He wrote extensively about the importance of active imagination and introspection. When you're comfortable with silence, you're signaling that you've achieved a level of psychological maturity that many people never reach. You've integrated your shadow. You've made peace with your inner world. And that level of self-possession is both rare and threatening to those still at war with themselves. Remember this. Your comfort with silence isn't a flaw to be fixed. It's a sign of profound inner strength. Don't let others pressure you into filling the void with meaningless noise. The right people will appreciate the depth of your presence. SIGN 2. You don't seek validation from others. Here's a hard truth. Most people are addicted to external validation. They measure their worth by likes, comments, promotions, compliments, and the approval of others. Their sense of self is built on the shakiest foundation imaginable, other people's opinions. But you've discovered something liberating. Your worth isn't up for debate. Jung's concept of the collective unconscious helps us understand why this is so powerful. Society operates on shared myths, beliefs, and expectations. The collective tells us we should seek approval, climb certain ladders, and measure ourselves against arbitrary standards. When you refuse to play this game, you're essentially declaring independence from the collective. And that's revolutionary. Why this scares people? When you don't seek validation, you remove a lever of control from other people's hands. Think about how much of human interaction is based on the implicit exchange of validation. You compliment me, I compliment you. You approve of my choices, I approve of yours. But you've broken that contract. You're not waiting for permission to be yourself. You're not asking for approval before making decisions. You're not fishing for compliments or seeking reassurance. This is deeply unsettling to people who live and die by external validation because they can't manipulate you. Validation is currency, and you're not interested in their currency. You mirror their dependency. Your independence highlights their lack of it. You can't be controlled. Without needing their approval, you can't be pressured into conformity. The deeper psychology, Jung distinguished between the persona, the mask we wear for society, and the true self. Most people over-identify with their persona. They believe they are the role they play, the image they project, the person others think they are. You've done something rare. You've separated your identity from your persona. You understand that what others think of you is merely their projection, filtered through their own experiences, biases, and limitations. It has nothing to do with your actual worth. A powerful example. Let's say you've made an unconventional life choice maybe. You left a prestigious career to pursue your passion. Or you chose a lifestyle that doesn't fit society's script. When people ask about it, they're often fishing for signs of doubt or regret. They want you to seek their validation. Do you think I made the right choice? But you don't. You explain your decision calmly with no need for their approval. This is jarring. They're used to people seeking permission for their lives. Your self-assurance suggests you found something they're still searching for. An internal locus of control. Jung's understanding of emotions. Jung didn't view emotions as enemies to be conquered. He saw them as messengers from the unconscious, carrying vital information about our inner state and unmet needs. But he also recognized that emotional reactivity, being completely controlled by feelings, was a sign of an underdeveloped ego. You've achieved something remarkable. You've developed a conscious relationship with your emotions. What emotional mastery looks like. 1. You feel your emotions fully without being swept away. When anger arises, you feel it in your body. You acknowledge its presence, but you don't immediately act on it. You create a space between stimulus and response. When sadness comes, you don't rush to fix it or numb it. You let it move through you, understanding that emotions are temporary visitors, not permanent residents. When fear appears, you recognize it as information, not as a command to flee or freeze. 2. You can self-regulate without external intervention. Most people need others to regulate their emotions. They need someone to calm them down when they're upset. They need validation to feel better about themselves. They need distraction to avoid uncomfortable feelings. They need constant reassurance when anxious. You've developed internal regulation. You have practices, tools, and awareness that allow you to return to equilibrium without depending on others to fix your emotional state. 3. You don't weaponize your emotions. Some people use emotions as manipulation, anger as intimidation, sadness as guilt-tripping, tears as control, emotional volatility as punishment. You've moved beyond this. You experience emotions, but you don't use them to manipulate or control others. Why this is deeply threatening. 1. You can't be emotionally manipulated. People who lack emotional mastery often try to control others through emotional manipulation. They create drama, use guilt, deploy anger strategically, or manufacture crises. But these tactics don't work on you. You can witness someone's emotional dysregulation without absorbing it. Remain calm when others are trying to provoke you. See through emotional manipulation without being moved by it. Hold your center when others are losing theirs. This is incredibly frustrating for manipulators. Their primary tool for control has no effect on you. 2. Your calm highlights their chaos. When you remain emotionally steady in situations where others are reactive, you become a mirror for their lack of self-regulation. Your presence says, it's possible to feel strongly without melting down. This challenges their narrative that they can't help their emotional reactions. 3. You're unpredictable in your non-reactivity. People are used to pushing buttons and getting predictable reactions. Insult someone gives, they get defensive. Ignore someone gives, they chase. Create drama gives, they engage. Provoke gives, they react. With you, these cause and effect patterns don't work. Your emotional mastery means you respond consciously rather than react unconsciously. This unpredictability is unsettling. A powerful scenario. Someone is trying to pick a fight with you. They're aggressive, accusatory, clearly trying to provoke an emotional reaction. In the past, you might have matched their energy with defensive anger, gotten hurt and withdrawn, tried to explain or justify yourself, engaged in the conflict. But now, you pause. You feel the surge of defensive energy in your body. You notice the impulse to react. And then you choose. Maybe you respond calmly. I can see you're upset. I'm willing to discuss this when we can both be respectful. Or maybe you recognize this isn't worth your energy. I'm not available for this conversation right now. The other person expected an explosion or a meltdown. Your calm response disarms the entire dynamic. They might escalate briefly, confused that their provocation didn't work. But you remain steady. This isn't about being cold or disconnected. You feel the emotions, the anger, the hurt, the frustration. But you've learned that feeling doesn't require immediate expression or action. The Jungian process of achieving this, Jung taught that emotional mastery comes through shadow work and integration. Here's the path you've walked. Stage 1. Unconscious reactivity. You were controlled by emotions without awareness. You reacted automatically to triggers. Stage 2. Conscious awareness. You began noticing your emotional patterns. You saw your triggers, your habitual reactions, your emotional wounds. Stage 3. Creating space. You develop the ability to pause between feeling and acting. You learn to observe emotions without being consumed by them. Stage 4. Integration. You accepted all your emotions as valid while choosing conscious responses. You integrated your emotional nature with your reasoning mind. Stage 5. Mastery. You now navigate emotions with wisdom. You feel deeply but respond consciously. You're neither suppressed nor reactive, you're integrated. What you've gained: clarity in crisis. When others panic, you assess. Your emotional steadiness allows you to think clearly even under pressure. Deeper relationships. You can be present with others' emotions without being overwhelmed. You create safe space for authentic emotional expression. Personal power. No one can make you feel anything. You experience your feelings, but you're not a puppet on others' emotional strings. Resilience. You bounce back from setbacks faster because you can process emotions without drowning in them. Authenticity. You can express emotions appropriately without either suppressing them or being controlled by them. The misconceptions. People might accuse you of not caring. You care deeply. You're just not chaotic about it. Being cold. You're not cold, you're regulated. Not feeling. You feel intensely, you just don't react impulsively. Thinking you're better than everyone. You're not, you've just done difficult inner work. These accusations reveal their discomfort with emotional maturity. Your regulation challenges their belief that emotional chaos is unavoidable. Jung's warning about pseudo-mastery. Jung distinguished between genuine, emotional integration and what we might call spiritual, bypassing or emotional repression, disguised as mastery. True mastery, as Jung understood it, includes feeling the full spectrum of emotions, honoring their messages, allowing appropriate expression, choosing conscious response. False mastery looks like pretending not to feel, using logic to dismiss emotions, judging others for being emotional, pride in being above feelings. You've achieved the former. You haven't transcended emotions, you've integrated them. You haven't risen above feeling, you've learned to dance with it skillfully. The gift to others. Your emotional mastery offers something profound to the world. You model that regulation is possible. You create calm in the midst of storms. You show that strength includes vulnerability. You prove that feeling deeply and thinking clearly aren't mutually exclusive. Some people will find refuge in your steadiness. Others will feel threatened by it. The ones who are ready to do their own emotional work will be inspired. The ones still committed to their chaos will find you confusing and perhaps even threatening. The truth Jung knew: there is no coming to consciousness without pain. People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul. You've faced your soul. You've sat with the pain. You've done the work of becoming conscious of your emotional patterns and integrating them. That work, that willingness to feel everything and be controlled by nothing, that's power that can't be taught, only earned. And for those who haven't paid that price, your emotional mastery is both impressive and intimidating. SIGN 9. You live from purpose, not from approval. We've arrived at the final and perhaps most profound sign. You've discovered your purpose, and you're living from it rather than from the need for approval. This is the culmination of Jung's concept of individuation, becoming fully yourself, living from your authentic nature rather than from collective expectations. Most people spend their entire lives seeking approval, choosing careers that impress others rather than fulfill them, making decisions based on what others will think, measuring success by external standards, living according to scripts written by family, society, or culture. You've broken free from this prison. You've found something deeper to live for. Jung's concept of vocation. Jung didn't see vocation as merely a job or career. He saw it as a calling, a deep pull from the self toward what you're meant to contribute to the world. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are, and in becoming who you truly are, you discover what you're here to do. You've heard this call, and more importantly, you've answered it. What purpose-driven living looks like. 1. You make decisions based on alignment, not applause. When faced with choices, your primary question isn't, what will others think? But does this align with my purpose? You might choose a less prestigious path that feels more meaningful, a lifestyle that doesn't fit society's template, work that serves your mission over work that impresses, relationships that support your growth over relationships that look good. 2. You're willing to be misunderstood. Purpose often looks weird from the outside. It doesn't always make sense to people who are living from approval rather than from calling. You're okay with this. You'd rather be authentic and misunderstood than inauthentic and approved of. 3. You measure success differently. While others measure success by income and status, social recognition, comparative achievement, external markers, you measure success by alignment with your values, impact and contribution, personal growth and learning, living with integrity. Why this is the most threatening quality. When you live from purpose rather than approval, you become genuinely uncontrollable. Here's why this is so threatening. 1. You can't be bought. Money, status, recognition, these are tools for controlling people who live for approval. But if you're driven by purpose, these incentives lose their power. You might turn down a lucrative opportunity because it doesn't align with your mission. You might walk away from prestige because it compromises your values. You might choose meaning over money. This is baffling and threatening to people who've organized their entire lives around these external rewards. 2. You challenge the social contract. Society operates on an implicit agreement. Conform, perform, and will give you approval and belonging. Most people accept this deal, even though it requires sacrificing authenticity. You've rejected this contract. You're saying, I'm going to be myself and do my work, and your approval is not required. This threatens the entire system. If everyone did this, the mechanisms of social control would collapse. 3. You mirror others' lack of purpose. When someone meets you and feels your sense of purpose, it can highlight the emptiness or lack of direction in their own life. They might feel envy, you have what they're missing. Judgment, defending their choices by criticizing yours. Confusion, your path doesn't fit their categories. Threat, your authenticity challenges their performance. A defining moment, you're at a crossroads. You have 2 options. Option A, more money and prestige. Impressive to others. Expected and approved by everyone who knows you. Completely out of alignment with your purpose. Option B, less external reward. Confusing to others, why would you choose that? Likely to be questioned and criticized. Perfectly aligned with your deepest calling. Old you might have agonized over this choice, perhaps even chosen option A while feeling dead inside. Current you? The choice is obvious. You choose option B without hesitation. People's reactions range from admiration to concern to outright criticism. But what about your future? You're being impractical. You're throwing away such a good opportunity. Don't you care about success? You smile, centered in your knowing, I'm choosing my path, not someone else's idea of success. The Jungian journey to this point, Jung's individuation process, is exactly this. Journey from collective approval to individual purpose. Here's the path you've traveled. Stage 1. Unconscious conformity. You followed the script without question. You did what was expected because you didn't know there was another option. Stage 2. Awakening. Something inside you began to question. You felt the misalignment between your authentic self and your lived life. Stage 3. Rebellion. You might have gone through a phase of rejecting everything systems, expectations, norms. This was necessary but not yet mature. Stage 4. Exploration. You searched for your purpose. You tried different paths, explored various callings, listened to your inner voice. Stage 5. Discovery. You found it, that sense of, this is what I'm here. A 4. Not perfect clarity, necessarily, but a directional pull that felt undeniably true. Stage 6. Commitment. This is where you are now. You've committed to your purpose over approval. You're living your answer to Jung's call to become who you truly are. What this commitment costs. Let's be honest, living from purpose rather than approval comes with a price. Relationships may change. People invested in who you were supposed to be may not support who you actually are. Comfort may decrease. Your purposeful path might be less, financially or socially, comfortable than the approved path. Certainty may diminish. Purpose doesn't come with guarantees. Approval does. Criticism may increase. People will question and judge your choices. But here's what you gain. Alignment. Your inner and outer lives match. Aliveness. You feel genuinely engaged with your life. Integrity. You're living your truth, not someone else's. Meaning. Your life has deep significance beyond external markers. Freedom. You're liberated from the exhausting need for constant approval. The lonely courage. Jung understood that individuation often requires walking alone for a while. He wrote extensively about the hero's journey, the need to leave the collective, face trials, and return transformed. You're living this journey. There are moments when it's lonely, when you wonder if you've made the right choice, when the approval-seeking path looks easier. But you've tasted purpose. You've felt alignment. You've experienced the deep satisfaction of living your truth. And once you've tasted that, approval feels like empty calories. It might provide momentary satisfaction, but it doesn't truly nourish. The ultimate freedom. This final sign represents the ultimate freedom, the freedom to be yourself. You're not performing a role, meeting expectations, playing a part, seeking permission. You're living authentically, purposefully, courageously. Jung's promise. Jung believed that when we individuate, when we become fully ourselves, we don't just free ourselves. We contribute something irreplaceable to the collective. Your unique purpose, your authentic contribution, your particular gifts, these are needed. The world doesn't need another copy of what's expected. It needs your specific expression of being human. By living from purpose rather than approval, you're not just liberating yourself. You're modeling liberation for others. You're showing that another way is possible. Why this scares people most of all. This final sign is the most threatening because it represents complete autonomy. When someone lives from purpose rather than approval, they can't be controlled through social pressure, won't sacrifice their mission for belonging, don't need the collective's permission, have found something worth losing approval for. This is powerful beyond measure. And for people still trapped in the approval game, this freedom is both inspiring and terrifying. So here we are. 9 signs that your strength scares people. Let's recap what we've discovered. You're comfortable with silence. You've befriended your inner world. You don't seek validation. Your worth isn't up for debate. You set boundaries without guilt. You protect your energy unapologetically. You've embraced your shadow. You're whole, not perfect. You speak your truth. Your authentic voice matters more than approval. You don't need to prove yourself. Your value is inherent, not earned through performance. You're comfortable alone. Solitude nourishes rather than depletes you. You have emotional mastery. You feel deeply without being controlled. You live from purpose. Your calling guides you more than others' opinions. The truth we need to speak. If you recognize yourself in these signs, understand this: you are not the problem. Your strength isn't something to apologize for, hide, or diminish. Jung spent his life studying psychology, and his ultimate message was this: become who you truly are. You're doing that. And yes, it threatens people. But their discomfort is not your responsibility to manage. For those intimidated by you, some people in your life will be inspired by these qualities. They'll recognize your strength as something they want to develop in themselves. These people are your tribe. Others will be threatened. They'll call you too much, too intense, too intimidating, too different. They'll try to make you smaller, dimmer, more palatable. Let them be uncomfortable. Their growth isn't your responsibility. Your responsibility is to continue becoming fully yourself. Jung's final wisdom. Jung knew that the path of individuation was lonely at times. But he also knew it was the only path worth walking. The man who promises everything is sure to fulfill nothing, and everyone who promises too much is in danger of using evil means in order to carry out his promises, and is already on the road to perdition. But he who knows how little he can accomplish knows that he must begin with himself. You've begun with yourself. You've done the inner work. You've integrated your shadow, found your voice, discovered your purpose, and claimed your power. Your mission now: don't shrink. Don't dim your light. Don't play small to make others comfortable. The world doesn't need more people conforming, performing, and pretending. It needs people who've done what you've done, the hard work of becoming authentic. Live your truth. Speak your voice. Walk your path. Set your boundaries. Honor your purpose. Some people won't understand. That's okay. They're not your people. The right people, the ones who are ready, who are doing their own work, who recognize genuine strength, they'll find you. And they'll be grateful you didn't diminish yourself. Final thought: your strength isn't scary because it's threatening. It's scary because it's unfamiliar. In a world of people hiding their power, playing small, seeking constant approval, someone who is fully themselves, unapologetically strong, and living from purpose looks almost alien. But that's what Jung called us to be: individuals. Not copies. Not performances. Not what everyone expects. Individuals. You're answering that call. Keep going. Your strength is exactly what the world needs, even if some people aren't ready to see it. If this video resonated with you, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below sharing which of these 9 signs you most identified with. Let's create a community of people committed to authentic strength and genuine self-discovery. Hit that subscribe button because we're diving deeper into Jungian psychology, shadow work, and the path of individuation. This is just the beginning. And remember, your strength isn't something to hide. It's something to honor, develop, and share with the world. Thank you for being here. Thank you for doing the work. Thank you for having the courage to be fully yourself. Until next time, keep walking your path. The world needs your light.